have to wonder a lot of the time what people think about. If I can go into their brains, what they would be saying to themselves, what they would be asking, what their worries would be. And oftentimes, when I see large groups of people, I see like these little bubbles above their head, and just tapping into their thoughts would be so fascinating because we are all walking around in this world and functioning differently. The purpose of this video is basically going to look at what your thought processes are and what you focus on a daily basis. This is so fascinating to me, and it appeals to me because we come from our own mind frames, and as Tony Robbins says, our own belief systems and emotional states that really drive us and make us who we are. And if you have an individual that is constantly talking about people, how others are dressed, how others are looking, and you have another individual that's all about learning and growth, you can see a big difference in their lifestyles and the way that they view themselves, how they talk to others, and the relationships that they maintain. I'm so obsessed with Tony Robbins right now, and his viewpoint of taking action is the best thing that you can do for yourself. And in my own thought process, I am in this stage where I just want to learn and grow, but I have a difficult time sharing that and actually acting on it. And what I'm really gathering from these Tony Robbins videos is to just do it. And the reason why we just don't do it is because we have fears and we have all these focuses, these totally different mind frames of where we're coming from. He talks about incantations, and incantations are basically what you say aloud, what you say in your head over and over again. And in a sense, listening to him is a form of brainwash. Brainwash can be used positively or negatively. Brainwash can be hearing negative things growing up your entire life. It could be in this country and other countries to say that killing is good, killing is a righteous way. And we hear these incantations or the way that we're brought up over and over again, and they move us through life all in different ways. The difficult thing about taking action is we want to take action, but our thoughts are what are holding us back. And he just says, get out of your bed and just do it. But there are so many other pleasuring things that we would rather be doing. We would rather be going out and socially interacting and drinking. But these things that we can delay essentially are going to have the biggest rewards later in life, because if we come from the mindset that these setbacks, not these setbacks, but these sacrifices are eventually going to get us to an end goal, we're going to get there inevitably. It doesn't matter. If you keep on telling yourself you're not good enough, you're not lovable, you can't deal with the relationship, you're not going to be in a relationship, you're not going to be lovable, because this is what you are telling yourself and this is what you are believing. And interestingly enough, I found a video of Tony Robbins, of course, on an interview with, I think her name is Marlo. She has this Monday Marlo talk on YouTube. And she's been trying to catch Tony Robbins for a year and a half, but she finally ended up getting him. And one person actually asked, how do I overcome shyness? And he says, if you are constantly believing that you're shy, you're going to behave this way and you're going to act this way. And this is an issue that I've always had with myself personally, and I know I'm not the only one struggling with coming out of your shell, because I'm naturally more introverted. But pros and cons to introverted. I think a lot more pros personally, but with those introverts, it's really, really hard to take charge and to actually have leadership skills and confidence. Really, this is what I lack: confidence on some aspect, because I always feel like I need to be doing something better and more, and never really satisfied in that moment. Not necessarily a perfectionist, because I don't perfect things 100%. I really like to get a broad range of ideas and just shove them into my brain until I can't really think anymore and I need a break and I need to go on a hike or something. But I want to really track back onto the focus and really tap into what it is that you think about on a daily basis. If you need to write it down and journal it and do this on a maybe hourly basis, what you're thinking about, this could probably reshape everything that you've thought about yourself. I think really seeing things on paper helps. Journaling, writing things down, when you can really see them, it makes things more tangible, it makes them real when you write goals down versus keeping them in your head. Because we have this strange idea built in us that if we have them in our heads, we'll eventually get to them. But this is where maybe a realization. this is where our thought processes drain us, because we don't write them down and we don't take action, because we are constantly thinking something over and over and over in our head, whether this be negative or positive, or a depressing thought, a relationship that's having issues. If we think this thought over and over again and really don't write it down or take action or seek therapy for it, we aren't going to change. If we're doing something the same and all the time and we're getting the same results, we need to try something different. I think the interesting thing with fears is that when we fear things, we as adults, we hide in the closet. We don't want to take action. But remember when you were a little kid, what stopped us from riding on that bike? Nothing. We knew that we were going to fall. Maybe it's our naivety, maybe it's our different mental states. Actually, it's the ability to want to do what everyone else is doing, to learn how to ride a bike so you don't get made fun of, to actually experience that. And maybe that's the mind frame that we need to start coming from, is just to really put ourselves in maybe this learning mentality that there's no failure. You just learn from it. You learn from your experiences. How does an artist become a beautiful painter? They learn through practice and they perfect their skill by lots of time and effort. And this is the hardest thing for me to really grasp, because I want things immediately. And throughout the years, it's gotten easier, and I know that things are a slow process, and baby steps is my sole foundation of what I believe, how we can grow. But now I'm really all about um, excelling and accelerating those kind of mind frames. And how we can do this is really by taking action and moving forward. And whether we have them stuck in our head, and what our focus is what's going to happen. Another setback, of course, is we have to interact with people. And I am finding that coming from a completely different mindset than another individual, I mean, of course we all have similarities, but coming from a mindset of wanting to learn and grow, another individual coming from a mindset of I have to take care of my kids when I get home, is a completely different world. This means that what you think and what you put out there, you're not always going to get on the sole responsibility of other people, if that makes sense. So this is where I'm a firm believer of creating your own fate and doing whatever it is that you want, because nothing is holding you back. The setbacks that we have are other individuals that perhaps don't believe in us, perhaps do not see the potential in us, perhaps are not filling that box of their idea of what a individual should be for their company or for their job. Where we come from and how others may take you in is on them, and you have to do whatever it is. You have to find the loopholes and the gates that will open. Where there is no opportunity, there will be another. And it's just about moving and moving and moving. And Tony Robbins talks about Colonel Sanders actually in his seminars, and he says that Colonel Sanders was collecting I think a Social Security check, and his amount was $99. A Social Security check for $99. He was retired, and he said, "I can't live like this. How am I gonna move forward? How am I gonna survive off $99? I know one thing. I have an awesome chicken recipe that everyone seems to like." So what did he do? He pretty much did cold sales calls, but door to door with different restaurants. And I think Tony Robbins said he tried 1,009 times before someone grabbed him and said, "Hey, this is a delicious recipe. Let's start whatever it is, KFC." And now look, he's everywhere. But 1,009 times. I just hear, and my brain is submerged in all these successful people that have given into failure over and over and over again. But the thing that sets them apart from a regular individual is that they don't give up. They don't stop striving. They just keep on moving forward, and they fall down really hard living in other people's homes and sacrificing their own time and energy and worth and identity to know that this is short term. What we focus on is so vital and it's so important to our happiness and what we want out of life. And the thing that's going to separate you from another individual is your willingness to learn and your willingness to expand and grow as an individual, is to not be closed off and short-sighted and narrow-minded, because in every experience there's a learning opportunity. Every single experience, it doesn't matter if you interact with people on a daily basis, you can learn from them. You can perhaps even see if someone makes you feel uncomfortable. Why are you feeling uncomfortable? There's a learning process. And I'm not saying let's just completely pick apart ourselves and other people and challenge it. It's just having an open mind to these experiences, but also learning from them. So what is your focus on a day-to-day basis? The activity that I want you to do is really write it down and listen to that inner voice of what it is that you're focusing on, what it is that you want out of life. If you're in a relationship and you just got out of a relationship and you're heartbroken, this is going to be your focus, but I just want you to know that this is temporary. It's just an emotional feeling that you're going through, and I really don't mean to downplay it, but this is what's going to separate you really taking on these feelings and living in them for a long period of time and letting them transform into your happiness later. And listen to that inner voice of what it is that you're focusing on, what it is that you want out of life. If you're in a relationship and you just got out of a relationship and you're heartbroken, this is going to be your focus, but I just want you to know that this is temporary. It's just an emotional feeling that you're going through, and I really don't mean to downplay, but once we can identify that this is just a feeling, it will pass, this is going to separate you from another individual that's suffering and in a great deal of pain. So what do you focus on? Please write this down. I felt so energized to give this talk, this video, because the mind frames that we come from, like, we just really need to take a broader perspective on them, really, really broad, and see where I'm coming from. Am I negative? Am I positive? Is this about satisfying my inner wants? Is this about satisfying an other? Is this about giving? Write down all these words that are going to help you identify how you are feeling in that moment. What I'm learning so much about these inspirational people and leaders is that these things that we come by are emotional belief systems, as Tony Robbins would say. They're belief systems that we hold to be true for so long, but when we move away from them, we transform. We transformed into something else that we never thought that we would. And this means in a positive direction. This means in the way that we need to grow, and that is beneficial for us. An interesting other topic that I would like to throw out there is what your focus is, of course, but what is your purpose? If you can really look deep down and analyze what it is that you want out of life, what is it that you want? And when you really have this concept broken down and you are living in it, I want you to put yourself in that feeling of what it is that you want and write that down. And now, what is talking you out of it? Write that down. Your belief about what it is that you want is being crushed because of how you're thinking. And I don't mean to be harsh or cruel, but this is the reality of our brains and how we talk to ourselves and what we think about ourselves. And again, of course, I need to do so much growth and transformation with it myself, because the difficult thing for me is taking action and really doing it. But I also have a tendency to become frustrated when I don't do things as quickly as I want. And this is where I need to be more mindful of the position that I'm in and where I'm coming from and the actual resources that I do have. They aren't limited. I don't think that any resources are limited. We are in a time where knowledge is flooding in, and we have all these inspirational and intelligent beings posting all their work for free, and they're telling us their experiences and their teachings, and they are guiding us and helping us. So what you pull from the world and what you want, if you want to listen to the Kim Kardashian show, if you want to open up the newspaper and see all the drama that's happening there, and wrap yourself into politics, I mean, this is going to be your mind frame and where you come from. But I ultimately believe that we have we are here to change each other and to change the world for the better. And I've been told that this is impossible, that I can't change the world, that I'm not going to. But I feel like this is my purpose. What is the point? And it doesn't make me superior in any way. It just feels that I need to do this. This is what is in me, and what life is all about. And if we can really look on at this wanting to change the world on a humanistic level, is we see it all around us. We want to change the world through advances in technology and conveniences, and looking beautiful with makeup, and getting from point A to point B faster, in planes and trains and cars, and having all these experiences that are going to heighten our life and are going to benefit us. So this is actually changing the world for the better, because we are evolving, but we really have to keep this in balance and have our checks and balances available at all times, and make sure that we're not hurting others along the process. But what is it that you focus on, and what is your purpose? So this will be the video for today. I really want you to take this seriously and think about this, because what your energy is focused on is what's going to come to you. Regardless of the justifications, it is going to come to you. It doesn't matter. If you want success, it's going to come to you. If you want a bad relationship, it's going to come to you. It's a matter of what you put out there and what you're making yourself believe. So thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you found it useful.